Hello everyone, Mark here, and today I'm going to quickly do an unboxing and review video on this budget 2.4 GHz free channel digital radio system made by Goolrc, and I'm also going to show you the beast that I'm putting it in. Okay, so I'll quickly do the unboxing. I'll show you the box itself quickly. Like I say, this is the Goolrc 2.4 GHz free channel digital radio system, and this is also known as the MTG3 free channel radio system. Basically, you can get this as a Goolrc brand or a generic branded model as well, and they're exactly the same thing. You just basically got a Goolrc sticker on here. Like I say, this is a budget radio system. In the UK, you can get this for around £18 to £25. Now I paid £19 delivered, which is a bargain really for a pretty decent quality 2.4 GHz free channel radio system. So let's quickly take it out of the box. Put the box to one side, we don't need that. You've basically got a instruction manual here, and it's reasonable. It tells you everything that you need to know, and these are very simple to follow anyway, and it comes pre-bound to the actual receiver, so you don't need to worry about that. But if for instance yours doesn't come already bound, you've got the instructions which tells you exactly how to do so, and I'll probably show you that anyway. So let's get the actual stuff out of the packaging. Okay, so this is the transmitter itself, and to be honest, it does feel quite nice in the hand. Now I use this same radio system on a few other of our trucks as well. I've got it on a Tractor Stampede, and obviously I will be putting this one in my Axle Terra Evo. Now, like I say, in the hand it actually feels quite nice. I've got reasonably small hands, but it just fits my hands perfect. The build quality, yeah, it is quite plasticky to be honest guys, but for the money, what do you expect? It's a budget radio system, but it's a good budget radio system that works really well. Now, one good thing about this radio system, it has a free channel, and then on the side here you've got an auxiliary button. So to activate the third channel, you would just press in the auxiliary button. That would activate the third channel, which you can use for things like an extra servo, lights, or whatever you would need the third channel for. Obviously, if it's a nitro car, you could use the auxiliary as a reverse if your nitro car has reverse and needs that third channel. Quite easy. On the top here you've got your steering and throttle normal and reverse switching buttons. On the top you've got your bind button. You've also got a throttle limit. Now this throttle limit switch is very handy indeed, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But you can basically limit the throttle to low power, medium power and high power. On the side here you've just got your basic back panel. Now, there's nothing on here, no buttons, no switches, nothing like that. The on off switch is on the side. Then you've got your steering trim, your throttle trim, and your dual rate as well. Now your dual rate is basically for your steering, so if you have it on maximum, you will have maximum turn on your steering. If you have it on minimum, it would obviously, it will limit the amount of turn your wheels can move. And everything is fully proportional. This is a full proportional radio system. It's not a cheap, nasty, non-proportional system. Now the receiver itself is tiny, as you can see here. It's a nice tiny receiver. Now one good thing about these receivers, they're dirt cheap. So if you need to obviously buy more, if you want to use the same controller on multiple vehicles, just buy another receiver and you can bind them and then run multiple vehicles on the same transmitter. Now the only downside about doing that, this does not have model memory, so if you do use this on another model, bear in mind it's going to mess around with your trim settings and stuff like that. So I actually recommend when you get something like this, just if you don't want to be mucking around with all your trim settings, just keep one transmitter for one model. If you want to use one transmitter for multiple models, get something like this, the FlySky SF GT3C. It's got a 10 model memory, works really well for multiple vehicles, and it is better quality, but you're going to pay that little bit more for it. These range from around £30 to £45 depending on where you get it from. And I know that is quite a big price difference, but like I say guys, eBay, Banggood, stuff like that, prices are going to differ from place to place. But yeah, this does not feel too bad. Like I say, it's a budget radio system, but to be fair, it does feel quite nice. There's no loose play on the steering wheel here. As you can see there, it's nice and sturdy, it's stiff, it's not flimsy, it feels really nice. And like I say, I use this on another vehicle and I've not had any problems whatsoever. Get around 80 metre range, maybe a little bit more. Definitely line of sight, depending on basically the area that you're using. And it will also depend on the actual position of your receiver. What I've actually found is if you actually place this receiver too close to your motor and stuff like that, you can actually get backlog interference. So just bear that in mind. The position of the receiver in your RC vehicle will improve or basically change the range that you're able to receive from your radio system. Now, like I say, back to the actual receiver, it's a 3-channel receiver. You've got channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, which is also your bind button, your bind channel. And basically, to bind it to the transmitter, you would just literally put in your bind futable cable inside the receiver, put in a battery, recommended a 3 volt or a 6 volt. You can do it with a 7 volt. And it will basically bind the receiver to the transmitter. And it's as simple as that, guys. Like I say, this is a budget radio system, but one I do recommend. If you're looking for a cheap 2.4 gigahertz radio system, I highly recommend one of these. Now, one of the major points for getting something like this is this throttle limiting switch on the top. It is so handy having the option to change it from low power to medium to high power, especially if you're letting kids and stuff like that use your RC models for the first time. And some of my RC models, they can do up to like 70 mile an hour, so I don't want to be letting a kid use a truck that can do 70 mile an hour, especially if they're not used to controlling RC models. But with this switch, you can limit the power. Now, what I've actually found on low power, it really does limit the power. On medium, I'm not seeing much difference between low and medium power, to be honest, but high power, obviously it gives you your full power. This is very handy. Like I say, I've used this on my Traxxas Stampede and that can do 60 mile an hour easily. Now with this, it limits the power, but it also limits the punch of the motor. So basically you won't be popping wheelies constantly when you've got it in low power, and it really does limit the speed. So on a Traxxas Stampede, if it's doing 60 mile an hour, if I flip it to low, it's only going to do around 20 mile an hour, if that, which is really good. Now I'm going to show you quickly the truck that I'm going to be putting this in, or the buggy. I'm going to be putting it in this beast. This is an Axle Exo Tetra buggy. Now this thing is an animal. The Brussels system we've got in here is a 1/8 scale Goolrc 3000 kV brushless motor with an 170 amp ECG. This thing shifts. It is it's an animal, it really is, and it weighs a ton. So we do let nephews and stuff like that use our RC models, so having the power limiting switch with this model is essential really, because like I say, this thing probably does around 45 mile an hour because of the gearing that we've got in this, but it's literally, it's 45 mile an hour pretty instantly, and this thing weighs a ton. If this hits you, it's going to do some damage, so it's very good to basically limit the power. But that is it for this one, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to do a quick unboxing, and what I might actually do, I might do a little video just showing me installing the radio gear into the truck anyway. But yeah, I do recommend the Goolrc MTG3 2.4 gigahertz 3-channel radio system. If you're on a budget and you want 2.4 gigs and a pretty good one, pick one of these up. So that's it for me, guys. Happy RCing. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.